So, a majority of the population is familiar with the dog fancy, and some perhaps even the horse fancy. But very little thought is given to the cat fancy. And granted, these associations essentially produce glorified beauty pageants, but if one were to take a closer look, they'd see it's not that simple. There are so many elements that go into creating a show star, and one of the biggest components is presentation, or how well your cat is groomed. And there are a ton of pre-show procedures as well as grooming upon arrival and sustaining your cat's pristine condition throughout the show. Shows are on Saturdays and Sundays, and I bathe on Thursdays. As you can see, the Egyptian Mau is a high contrast cat. You have these charcoal spots on a white undercoat. So you need to use a high contrast shampoo, and depending upon the coat, the type of shampoo used varies. If you have a nice coat, a regular coat, as most would see it, you'd use a mild but contrast shampoo. I personally like Pantene Silver. But if you have a coat much like Daisy, that's very porous and coarse, you use something a little harsher. Quicksilver is a high contrast whitening horse shampoo, and the type of condition that we use with Quicksilver is a much deeper conditioner. Actually, on Daisy, I used to do hot oil treatments because her coat does get so dry and brittle. And they have these fantastic, nice claws. So before we enter the show hall, we do nails. And it's really easy. It's just like a human. You tract it and clip. Now, upon your arrival, you want to do all of your big stuff as soon as you get there. One, so it's already done. Because once the show gets rolling, it's easy to just miss your windows of opportunity to do this. Also, it's an all-day event, and these guys need to settle. So one of the first things that I do is I use a liquid silk, which is just, it's really a nice deep conditioning oil, and you only use a little bit. You use about a pea size because it's so concentrated. And what you do is you rub your hands together and you rub it into their coat. Now for most cats, that's all you do. I use a fine-tooth comb. The Egyptian Mau has a very fine coat, so you have to be careful as not to break the hairs. You always brush in the direction that the hair goes, otherwise you're going to wreck their undercoat. Now, I like to use a gray eyeshadow palette to lighten their face because that just heightens contrast, really. And depending upon the color of the face is the color that you use on your gray palette. I use just a tad bit on my tip of my finger, and I take it and I rub it into the nose and eyes just to lighten up her face. And from there, throughout the day, I just use a cornstarch and boric acid compound. Now the compound is pretty diluted, so the boric acid powder isn't going to hurt her. Just put a little tip on it. And I do this once or twice a day. And you just rub it in and take your finger and just do that. Now you don't use the silk over and over again because it does have a tendency to gunk up their coat. Instead, you used a really gentle hydrating spray like an avocado mist or a Premier. And it's simple as to the way you put that on. You stretch them out and you simply spray. That way it's evenly distributed. I don't know what happened to my chamois, but I would use it right after then to make sure that her coat was not staticky in the least. Other cats, however, with a better coat, I like just using the Evian Natural Mineral Water Spray. It's a nice hydrator and it doesn't gunk up the coat. Now throughout the show, you have to be really careful that your hands are clean because it's so easy to grease up their coat and then it doesn't tick back the same way. So it's really important that we do that. Well, excelling in such a competitive world cannot be done by just simply showcasing your breed. Presentation is key, and it involves pre-show prep, show prep upon arrival, and sustaining your appearance. Showing is about bringing the best of the best and sharing it with the world. I have developed a true hunger and passion for showing my Egyptian males, and I just want the entire world to witness their ethereal and everlasting beauty. And I've spent countless hours bathing, exercising, grooming, showing for the last 12 years. And although it may seem bizarre to many other people, the cat fancy is truly a treasure.